William Shakespeare, a name famous around the globe for writing plays such as Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Macbeth. A man who even 400 years after his death is still considered by many the greatest writer of all time. But did Shakespeare actually write the plays he's credited for? And more importantly, did he even exist? Before we answer those questions, let's look at what history tells us about Shakespeare. Many records from Shakespeare's time have been lost, or never existed in the first place, so we don't know his exact birth date. What we do know is that he was baptised on April 26, 1564, in Stratford-upon-Avon in England, so scholars suggest he was born a few days before on the 23rd. His parents were John and Mary Shakespeare. Not much is known about Shakespeare's childhood, but records show he married a local woman named Anne Hathaway in 1582 at age 18. Shakespeare relocated from Stratford-upon-Avon to London at some point in the late 1580s, and in this period wrote his first full-length tragedy, Titus Andronicus. After a successful career in London, which included writing over 150 plays, poems, and sonnets, and the building of the now famous Globe Theatre, Shakespeare returned to Stratford-upon-Avon, where he would die on his birthday, April 23rd, in 1616. So, why do so many question whether Shakespeare really wrote his plays, or if the man existed at all? Anti-Stratfordians is the nickname given to those who throw doubt over Shakespeare's legacy. One of their theories is that William Shakespeare was a pseudonym or pen name used by another or several other people. They argue that records suggest the real Shakespeare only had a basic level of education at a local school, and that there is no evidence of him ever having left England, so making it pretty unlikely for him to have written so beautifully and in such detail about faraway cities like Verona and Venice. Some Anti-Stratfordians go as far to say that Shakespeare was actually completely illiterate. Only 6 signatures of Shakespeare are known, and in all 6 of these, he spells his name differently. On a court document in 1612, he signed his name Willem Shakespeare, and on his will, he signed his name as both Shakespeare and Shakespeare. And despite spelling his own name 6 different ways, none of those spellings match up to how it was spelt on play titles, the way that we spell it today. So, if not the William Shakespeare from Stratford-upon-Avon, then who do the Anti-Stratfordians think did write all those famous plays? One popular theory is Sir Francis Bacon. He was highly educated and well regarded in London society. They argue that he wouldn't have wanted to tarnish his reputation by becoming a lowly playwright, and so used the name Shakespeare to hide his identity. Another contender is fellow Tudor playwright Christopher Marlowe. The theory goes that Marlowe faked his own death in 1593 so he could avoid persecution for his role in supporting anti-religion groups, and then began using the name Shakespeare so that he could continue to write. The first work under the name Shakespeare went on sale just 2 weeks after Marlowe's death. Several women have also been put forward as the real bard, with supporters of this theory citing the strong and convention-breaking female characters in many of Shakespeare's works. These women include classically educated noblewoman Mary Sidney and Amelia Bassano, who was one of the first English women to publish a volume of poetry. Some have even suggested Queen Elizabeth I herself wrote the plays, in between executing Mary Queen of Scots and defeating the Spanish Armada, of course. But what do historians think about these theories? American historian Professor Gail Kern-Pastor said, "This joke about authorship has gone on long enough, and that she could not see any reason why a man like this could not have written these works." In fact, many of these anti-Stratfordian theories originated in the 19th century, where it's thought that some Victorians stuck in their strict class system didn't like the idea that some of the greatest works of all time were written by a commoner without a university education. And as for the illiteracy theory, well, Elizabeth Woolidge of the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust said, "Writing is more than pencraft alone, and literacy is no determinant of intelligence or creativity. Many of us can write, though few of us have yet written anything approaching Shakespeare's brilliance." So, what do you think? Is it possible that Shakespeare was not all that he seemed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting humans.